Let's first discuss why implementing DLP policy for Copilot agents so important. With Copilot Studio, admins and users can quickly create powerful agents that connect to a ton of different data sources and services. Think everything from your internal organizational databases to external, even non-Microsoft services, maybe even social media platforms. This flexibility is fantastic, but it also introduces some serious security considerations. Your organization's data is very important. It's like gold, very valuable and needs to be protected. So, how can we use Copilot agents to do great things and keep this important data safe? This is where the data loss prevention policies comes in. First and foremost, DLP policies are your first line of defense against data exfiltration. They prevent unauthorized access and sharing of sensitive information. DLP ensures that every agent requires user authentication. By default, this is handled through Microsoft Entra ID authentication, meaning only authorized users can interact with your agents. If someone tries to publish an agent without this authentication, the DLP policy steps in and blocks it. DLP policies also give admins granular control over which connectors agent authors can use. Some connectors might pose a higher risk of data exfiltration. DLP lets you restrict access to these, ensuring sensitive data isn't inadvertently leaked through less secure channels. Third, DLP policies can restrict the use of event triggers which enable agents to respond automatically to external events and which can further lead to unintended data exposure if misconfigured. DLP controls are essential for meeting regulatory requirements and internal governance policies. Many industries have strict data protection rules, especially when it comes to data residency and usage rights. DLP helps you enforce these rules, ensuring you're always compliant. It also helps you establish clear data management policies, outlining how user data is collected, stored, and processed. DLP also gives you powerful tools to manage the capabilities of your Copilot agents. You can precisely configure which data sources an agent can access and what actions it's allowed to perform. Finally, DLP provides mechanisms for auditing agent activities. You can track every interaction, every action taken by an agent. This gives you a complete audit trail, which is invaluable for security analysis and troubleshooting. Let's go ahead and check how to configure the policies. You can configure DLP policies in the Power Platform Admin Center to block any of the following Copilot Studio connectors. Let's configure them one by one. Let's log into the Copilot Studio and do the data loss prevention policy configuration. Click on the gear icon and select Power Platform Admin Center. In the Power Platform Admin Center, click on Actions and then Recommendations. In the Recommendations tab, you may get a Recommendations, Secure Agents by setting up data loss prevention policies for Copilot Studio items. Select the recommendations. You will get a pop-up with an option, Enable DLP Enforcement. Click on that and it will take you to the Microsoft documentation for the list of DLP configurations supported for Copilot agents. Scroll down and you will see the list of all the DLP policies you can configure in the Power Platform Admin Center to block any on the listed connectors. To block the listed DLP policies, we need to create a new data policy. In order to create a new data policy, click on Security and then Access Control. Under Access Control, you will get Data Policy. Click on Data Policy. We can see we don't have any existing data policy. Click on New Policy. Name the policy and move forward. You will get all your connectors listed under Non-Business. Search the connector using Search Connectors option and select Block to block the connector in case needed. Once done, click on Next to move forward. Select the scope of the policy. Select Add All Environment if you want this policy to be applied on all the environments. Review the policy and click Save. Now we have created a data policy. Let's go ahead and try to create an agent in Copilot Studio. Select New Agent. Let's go ahead and click on Create. As per the data policy, we should not be able to configure Copilot agent without any authentication. Click on Settings and select Security and click on Authentication. Under Authentication, we have option to either select No Authentication or Authenticate with Microsoft Entra ID. As per the data policy, Copilot Agent Editor should not be having option to choose No Authentication. Let's try to add knowledge as in SharePoint site. As per the policy, I should not be allowed to add a SharePoint site, single file or public website as a knowledge source. But I am able to add a SharePoint site, single file and public website as the knowledge base for this agent. The reason behind this is, by default DLP on the tenant is either disabled or soft enabled. In both the case, Copilot Editor will be allowed to perform all the restricted actions. As of now, the only option we have to enable the DLP is using PowerShell. Let's go ahead and enable the DLP on the tenant. You can either disable, enabled or soft enabled DLP on the tenant. Let's first check the status first. As of now, it is disabled on the tenant. Let's enable it now. Once enabled, we can see all the list of knowledge base items are blocked now. Let's check Copilot Agent can still choose No Authentication. We can see the option of No Authentication is no more available. So, in this video we talked about importance of DLP policies in case of Copilot agents. We created data access policy using Power Platform. Then we enabled DLP at tenant level. We did a validation of successful configuration of DLP settings. I hope this will be informative for you. Please do share and subscribe if you find worth sharing this. Thank you. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a critical topic for anyone working with Copilot Studio: data loss prevention, or DLP. If you're building and deploying Copilot agents, understanding DLP is absolutely essential.